Hi everyone, Mariana with Three Peaks Classroom. Today I am going to show you everything that I got ready for the very first day of school, including my plans, something that I do every year with my plans, and all of the activities, and I'm going to explain everything, and I'm going to show you a quick little tour of my classroom to show you how I have gotten ready for the first day of school. So let's take a look at my plans. Okay, so full disclosure, these are actually the plans that I'm going to be using for tomorrow. I wanted to redo these plans and make it nice and neat and printed for you guys since I'm filming a video about it, but I just don't have the time and I don't want to waste my time like that. There's so many things I could be working on in my classroom. So anyways, these are actually the plans I'm going to be using tomorrow. So first things first, our first bell rings at 8:15. We are expected to be outside in the field meeting our students because of COVID. The parents are not allowed to come into the building and stuff. So we're going to be outside in the field. And then when that first bell rings, we're going to walk in, welcome my students, obviously, into the classroom. And then I'm going to help them find their desks and their cubby. There we go, desks and cubby. And we are going to have announcements. We have broadcasting, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen tomorrow. Anyways, I scheduled it in then there so that we will do announcements. You'll see at the top I have tele-TV, agendas, attendance, and morning message. This is something that's always at the top, every single one of my plans, because that is something that we take care of during those 20 minutes every day. I can get into more detail about how I plan the rest of my days, but for this first day, you can just ignore that. Okay, so after the first 20 minutes of me welcoming the students and everybody finding their desks and all of that, then we're getting into sorting school supplies. Now, I've handled this a few ways. Some years I've left the school supplies completely in their backpacks and we didn't even touch them till after lunch. I've also had years where I've put all the information up on the bulletin board, expecting the kids to follow through and say, okay, I'm supposed to have this in my pencil case and this in my desk and this in my cubby. From my experience teaching grade 3 and now grade 4 for 6 years, it's best to take the time and go through all of the school supplies one at a time. I know that sounds like a lot of time and that sounds like a really big waste of time, but I found that the best way to set kids up for success is if you do that one at a time. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I have allocated here 30 minutes for us to go through school supplies, but in my experience, I think that this is going to take a lot longer and that's okay. Everything that I have planned for the day is fine. There are games and things that I can omit if I need to, but I have planned for 30 minutes to go to sort our school supplies. Sorry about that. So how did I do that? I am going to be showing them a slide and we're going to do this one at a time. So first thing I'm going to ask my kids to do is to take out a pencil case. Now, they might have an empty pencil case or they might have something in their pencil case. If they do, I'm going to ask them to take everything out because in their pencil case, I am expecting them to have one pencil. One pencil. The reason for that is because they get lost way too easily. So one pencil. On their desks, they are actually getting a free pencil from me. So this could be the pencil that they keep in their pencil case. I also want them to have a Sharpie, an eraser, a glue stick, one highlighter, one scissors, like pair of scissors, their pencil sharpener, and their crayons. And before they put anything in their pencil case, everything has to have their name on it. They're not allowed to put it in unless it has their name on it. This is where their Sharpie comes in handy. If they don't have a Sharpie, I have extra Sharpies on my teacher table right here, and I have multiples of them. So if they don't have one, I say, yep, come here, come grab one. You can use a Sharpie to label your things. If they do not have a Sharpie, for example, or if they forgot to bring a highlighter, I actually have a little post-it note again on my teacher table, and I write down like highlighter, and I write down the names of the kids or the number of kids that do not have one, because then during recess I can go into our staff supply, or we get school supplies donated because we are a low-income school, and I can grab these kinds of items so that I can make sure that the kids have the essentials right there on the first day of school. Once we've done pencil cases, then we move on to what goes in their desk. So their pencil case goes inside their desk. On my school supply list, I asked for them to get a coiled notebook that has 4 sections in it. I'm hoping to use that for language arts. Reading strategies, writing strategies, grammar, and phonics or word work. Those are the 4 sections. Right away, I want them to have 2 regular lined notebooks. One is for morning message, one is for journals. Then I'm going to ask them to look for these specific colors. If they don't have those specific colors, it's not the end of the world, but I like my subjects to be color coordinated. So red, math, green, science, yellow, social, blue, language arts, purple, religion, and black is going to be French as a second language. I want them to have a ruler in their desk. Again, everything labeled. And this year, we are not purchasing agendas for the students from school. So if they brought an agenda or like a calendar of some sort, I want them to keep it in their desk. If not, that's okay. My students will use a notebook in the meantime. After we do that, then my students have a cubby. Across the room, that rainbow shelf right there is a cubby. They are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, da 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 da. These are things I want my kids to keep in their cubbies, which is handy, but they don't use it often. I want them to keep their markers and pencil crayons in their cubbies. Post-it notes, I do not want post-it notes in their desks. They just use them up for no reason. I also want them to keep some spare notebooks and duotangs, an extra glue stick because goodness knows those dry up, 5 extra pencils, an extra eraser, and their oil pastels. Those are all things I want them to have handy in their desks, in their cubbies, sorry. I just realized the last thing I forgot was their headphones, so I'm gonna have to add that to their desk list as headphones. Okay, the last thing is extras. So anything extra that they have left over goes inside a numbered Ziploc bag, a big Ziploc bag that I bought from Dollarama. I have all of those Ziploc bags ready to go on my front table, numbered 1 to 23. I'm expected to have 23 students come tomorrow. So everything that's extra gets put inside that Ziploc bag and it goes outside in their cubby, outside in the coat room, way up high. They do not have access to it unless I bring the bag down for them. Then the last 3 things, Kleenex, I'm asking them to put on the small carpet, paper, put it on the white table in my classroom. I only have 1 white table. And then wipes, put it on the big table at the back of my room. That's something that they can go and take care of by themselves. So I do anticipate the school supplies to take a minimum of 30 minutes, but no more than an hour. If it's starting to take an hour, then it's taking too long. So I'm going to book 30 minutes, but if it takes more than that, that's okay. So I'm going to show you guys what's next on the plan. After that, I want to do a movement break. So I'm going to get the kids to stand up and push in their chairs, and we're going to play a game called Would You Rather. And so would you rather, and then move to the side of the room. And then I just jotted down some examples because in the moment, sometimes it's hard to think of 2 examples. So would you rather eat pizza or hot dogs? And then they'd have to move to that side of the room. So then I have beach or jungle, Christmas or Halloween. Would they rather have phys ed or art? Would they rather have a lot of friends, like a big group of friends, or would they rather be the smartest kid in the school? Would they rather choose no TV, like being grounded from TV or being grounded from candy and junk food? And then this one's really interesting. Would you rather receive $100 or be able to give somebody $1,000? Like if I gave you $1,000 to give to somebody, which one would you choose? And this is a really interesting one to end on. So, would you rather activity? Then I'm going to ask all the students to come to the carpet, and you'll see that here I'm getting kids to be moving around a lot. I don't want them sitting in their desks a lot. We're going to read the story First Day Jitters. I have it ready to go here. So if you haven't read this book, it's got a really cute ending to the story. Something new that I'm doing this year is I took a picture of all of my read aloud stories, and I'm going to explain to the students. I'm going to show you guys actually. After we have read a story and we've discussed it and talked about our favorite parts and things like that, I am going to include it up on this bulletin board. And it's going to be all of the books that we've read throughout the year. And so you can see I already have some clothespins ready to go, and that way the students can very easily see what's the title of this book or the author if they need to ever reference it. Because sometimes the kids, they want to write about it in their journals or something, and they can't remember the name of it. And they'll say, that blue book that we read? So I'm really excited to do that activity. Okay, so once we've read first day jitters, then we are going to be talking about these procedures. Now I've numbered them, and I have 1 to 6. So before recess, I want to make sure that I've talked about those 6 procedures. Make a poster to display. This is recess expectations. So I'm going to talk about bathroom breaks, pushing in their chairs. How do I get their attention? I have a chime. What do I expect them to do on the carpet, which we'll probably already cover when we do the read aloud. Recess expectations. I would like to make a poster and everybody sign it so that we are in agreement. This is what I expect in terms of behavior. And then boot rack. Where do they go to put their boots away and things like that. Okay. Before I go to my last game, I'm going to show you what I did for procedures. One way to keep track of all the procedures that I want to teach my students before the end of the day is I actually made a list, and we are going to check mark them as the day goes on. I've seen some really cute ideas for procedures where, you know, the teacher will have like an image and it's covered up with a certain procedure, and if they've mastered that procedure, then the image is revealed or something like that. I frankly didn't have time to do that. I was busy getting this cute bulletin board ready, but that is a really fun idea, and I hope to do that next year or another year. So these are procedures that I'm going to be covering throughout the day, not all at once. These are all broken up throughout the day. Okay, and then after I'm done teaching these procedures, I would love to fit in a game before recess, but if this doesn't happen, that's okay. This is definitely a quick little game that I could do at any point during the day. So this game is called Find Your Match, and again, it gets kids up and walking around, but also it gets them talking, and it uses their comprehension skills a little bit. So I have a stack here of questions and answers, and so one student is going to get this piece of paper. Who is Teddy? And another student in the class is going to get a piece of paper that has the answer to it. Who is Teddy? Teddy is your teacher's dog. And through the activity, they are supposed to be getting up and going around and talking to people and trying to find the match. Once they find the match, they stay where they are. And at the end, I ask them to read the question first, so they have to recognize that this is a question, and then their partner needs to read the answer out loud, and that way they get to learn a little bit about me through this activity, but it also gets them up and moving and talking to other kids in the class, and getting to know that a question is always followed with an answer. So for example, this would be an answer. She likes to go camping, play sports, and make crafts. So this is called Find Your Match, and it was really quick and easy. I think I made like 10 questions and then 10 answers, obviously, and that covers 20 students. So I have enough ready for 24 students. So that'll be our game before recess. After recess, we are going to read this story, Our Class is a Family. So look at that, just on the very first day of school, we are going to have 2 stories read. We are going to do an activity where we make classroom rules agreement with handprints. So what does that look like? So when we sit down at the carpet to make our classroom rules, I'm going to ask the students to brainstorm what are some behaviors or what are some things that you would like to see from me, from yourself, from your peers, and let's write down a list of classroom rules. Then something new I'm doing this year is I have a bunch of these multicolored handprints left over from an activity that I did. I have about 13 or 14 of them, and I've been waiting for the perfect opportunity to use them, and I think this is going to be it. I'm going to ask my students to find a skin color, a skin tone that closely matches their skin, and I'm going to have them write their name on it, and they can decorate it if they want, but I'm looking for their name because this is going to be their signature almost. And then they're going to come up to the poster and find a place on the poster to glue their hand. Ideally, it's going to be all around the class agreement. If a student comes up and they do not see a color of skin tone that doesn't match their skin, I just trace really quickly 6 white handprints. And if they want one of these, I'll really quickly cut it out, like just a really quick circle around it. I'll give it to them. They can cut it out more precisely, And then using their brand new crayons that they have received from me, they can find the skin tone that matches them perfectly. Now the reason why I like these handprints are they're very small. So they're very, very small, which will be able to fit like a regular sized paper, but you could easily just have your students trace their hand and color it with their crayons. That would take much longer, but that's definitely something that you can do for the class agreement. There's also a really funny video online of the Minions explaining class rules, and so it's just a little funny video that I like to show the kids. So right before 11 o'clock, I'm going to make sure that I show my students that video. Next, we're going to create a name tag, and so I have my name tags ready to go here. They're all blank and empty. I'm going to ask the students to use their Sharpie or their crayons if they want, or markers, and they can write their name on here. And I'm going to ask them also to include their number, because every student in my class has a number, and that way it just reinforces you know, what number is their cubby, what number is their coat hook, and things like that. So they are going to do that. We are going to cover up a few more procedures like lining up and lunch behaviors. Then here is some extra time. Here's 30 minutes extra time where they are working on their family picture. The family picture is on their desk. This is what they are walking into tomorrow. Every student gets a picture, and the direction is using a pencil, which they are already receiving. Draw a picture of your family. Color in the picture with your crayons, so they can use these crayons plus the ones that they are bringing to school. And then don't forget to write their names underneath. So I'm not expecting my students to finish this in 5 minutes. I want them to take their time, because I am going to be posting these on the bulletin board outside at the end of the day. I also am giving each of my students a granola bar, because you never know who's coming to school without breakfast or who's coming to school with first day jitters and they need something to settle their stomach a little bit. So I have decided that for these 30 minutes, students are going to be working on their family picture, and this works perfectly because if my school supplies take too long to sort, I can borrow time from here. I am going to collect their visual journals that they were supposed to have purchased, and I'm going to divide them with stickies, and this is for our language arts notebook. So I'm going to divide each of the sections if it's not already divided. And that is something that I'm going to do while the kids are working on their family picture. And then we need to make sure we say a lunchtime prayer. Okay, that takes us to lunch. I have to remind myself to take attendance tomorrow, so I will make sure to put an alarm on my phone. Then after lunch, I'm going to start off with something very gentle, but this is something that we do every day after lunch. We do our journals. So I'm going to model what a journal entry looks like with the date at the top and writing down the prompt. And then our journal entry tomorrow is going to be, I feel blank about grade 4 because ... And I'm going to explain my expectations for journal writing, which is you are writing in your journal for 10 minutes. You keep writing. If you don't know what to write about, you draw a picture and label it if you want. But the expectation in grade 4 is that you should be able to write at least 3 or 4 sentences already. So we're going to work on that. I'm going to make sure that they've labeled a journal and their name is on it. Okay, that takes us to, and normally journals should only take 10 to 15 minutes, but I have here 30 minutes because I'm modeling it and practicing it. That takes us to a game. I have allocated 30 minutes for the game. So this game is called Stack the Cups Group Activity. Okay, I have never done this game myself, but I've seen it online and I've seen tons of teachers recommend it, and I'm super excited to try it out. I already have the materials ready to go. So you need 6 solo cups plus 1 rubber band. I have extras in case they snap, and 2 strings that are about, an arm's length. The idea is you give this to a group of students. So I'm going to group my students in groups of 4. They're going to find a spot on the floor in the classroom somewhere. And they have to separate all these cups and flip them over. And using only the materials provided, they have to stack the cups into a pyramid or a tower. The idea here is that they use the string and they tie the string around the elastic band so that they can each pull the elastic band, and it'll pull tight around the cup, and then they can pick the cup and they can move it. If you're curious about this, you can just, Google search first day of school cup stacking activity or something like that. But I'm excited to try it out. I'm not going to interfere at all. I'm not going to show them what to do. The only rule is they're not allowed to touch the cups with their hands. All right, and then the final few things we're going to do tomorrow is go over a few more procedures, like what does pencil sharpening look like in my class, and school supply care. I'm also going to ask the kids, how are you getting home from school? So I literally am just going to ask each individual student, how are you getting home, either today or normally? And then that way I have that information ready to go. Then we're going to do a little bit of a game. I guess it's kind of like an activity, but it's a post-it note activity. So here's where they get to use a post-it note of theirs. I'm going to have 4 posters ready to go for tomorrow, and we're going to do one at a time. So I'm going to have a sentence starter. School is important because, and then using the post-it note, they need to finish the sentence. And then when everybody is done, I'm going to ask everybody to come up and put it on that poster. Then the next one is my favorite subject. What are you great at, or what are you an expert at? And then what do you need help with? These are going to be anonymous as well. I'm not going to ask them to write their names on it. I'm just going to ask them to write down their answer and post it on the poster. So that'll be fun to go over that. And then towards the end of the day, our final procedures, we're going to talk about what does agenda writing look like, and what does our end of day look like? And then I have chair stacking here, so we're going to practice that. Now, also, something I want to get done tomorrow, I didn't get a chance to get it done today, is I bought these felt stickers for the bottom of our chairs because you wouldn't believe the difference these make in the classroom. And I wanted to get these done today, but I didn't. So I'm going to hand out 4 of these to each kid, and I'm going to ask them to place it on their chairs. So they can do that, and then they'll be able to stack their chairs. And then we're going to take out a notebook if they don't already have an agenda, and we're going to make it their agenda. We're going to label it agendas. We're going to make sure they write the date at the top. And then they are going to have 2 pieces of homework for tomorrow. An All About Me bag, which I'll explain in a second, and the info page are due tomorrow. So I'm just going to show you what that is. I'm going to show my students these 2 things. These ones are the ones that are going home with them tomorrow. But basically, All About Me bag, they get a paper bag and they have to fill it with 3 items. No more, no less. These are going to be 3 items that are going to be used to describe themselves. So all of the items need to fit in the bag. They are welcome to decorate the bag if they want, and they have to bring it tomorrow and be ready to present your items to the class. So everybody's going to get a brown paper bag, and I have 4 of these left over from last year, but I will quickly print these off tonight and attach them to the paper bags because I didn't get a chance to do that today. But that'll be ready for tomorrow. And then I have a student information page that I want each of my students to fill out. This is a free download in my TPT store. It's my free download actually. And basically I want the students to fill this out because it's really important information. I love this section at the bottom. What do the parents say their child is best at? What do the parents think their child needs help with? What are your dreams for your child this year? This question I look forward to reading all the time. Something our division wants us to include as well is, do you identify as First Nation, Métis, Inuit, so that we can make sure that we recognize that. So every student is going to go home with 1 of these and 1 of these, and I get to see who does their homework. Who remembers to bring back the paper bag with 3 items, and who remembers to bring back the paper, the student information page? That's a good sign for me to know too. The last thing I want to do tonight, if I get some time, is I want to do an All About Me page. I want to update it, and I'm going to print it off, and I want to send that home as well so that the parents can read about me after the first day of school. So I hope that was helpful to see what I do for the very first day of school. It looks like a lot, but a piece of advice for all you new teachers out there is to overplan. Overplan so that you are not stuck looking for an activity to do. So you don't have to plan every single thing, but just make sure that you have a couple extra activities ready to go in case something goes a lot quicker than it's supposed to, or in case something gets changed around, or whatever. Always make sure that you have a couple extra activities or maybe an extra read aloud for that very first day of school. My last piece of advice is every year it's always tricky thinking about, okay, what did I do last year for the very first day of school? I keep my plans for the very first week, very first day of school, week of school, and month of school. So I have my plans going back all the way from 2016, 2017. I was on mat leave for 2018, and 2019 was the last year that I taught in person. So I haven't been in a classroom since March of 2019, which is a long time ago. Or is it 2019? No, March of 2020. Sorry, March of 2020. So yeah, it took a while for me to wrap my head around how to plan for the first day, but it was simple because I still had my plans from that first day back in 2019. And I even reflect at the end of the day, like, this went well, this was great, this wasn't so good, yada yada. And so when I sit down to make my plans this time, I can see like, okay, yeah, I literally wrote doing one supply at a time would be most efficient, is what I wrote down. So that's why I'm going to do that tomorrow. It's going to go one step at a time. Good luck, everybody that's starting tomorrow or starting on Thursday. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful first day of school. I would love to know your thoughts on my plans. If you've done the red cup stacking game before, please let me know how it went for you. But also, any of the activities or any of the books that I'm planning to read, if you have experience with those too, I'd love to hear about it. And yeah, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe because I'm going to be posting out some more videos, teaching in my grade 4 class, teaching in Alberta, things like that. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.